All right, next up is Dean Brown, Alyse Nelson, Maria Pacheco, Rocío Méndez, moderated by Philip Wilson. Women at the forefront of pioneering economic change and motivation. Talk about a little bit about Philip Wilson. He's an impact entrepreneur with a focus on sustainability, has founded multiple ventures dedicated to innovative solutions and social impact, exemplifying purpose-driven entrepreneurship at the Volcano Innovation Summit. Please give a warm welcome to Philip Wilson. Grab a seat. Wherever you want to sit. Now about Deanna Brown, is it correctly? Deanna Brown? Deanna? Deanna Brown, an esteemed digital and content veteran with over 30 years of experience, has made a profound impact on brands like Yahoo, AOL, and Condé Nast, excelling as a transformative leader, culture architect, and catalyst for growth, innovation, and equity on a global scale. Welcome, Deanna. Alyse, correct? Alyse Nelson is the passionate president and CEO of Vital Voices, which she co-founded and has empowered thousands of women leaders worldwide, recognized for her global advocacy and influential book. Welcome, Alyse. Maria Pacheco, a visionary social businesswoman, a co-founder of Wakami, specializes in building value change that empower rural communities, particularly women, and promote sustainability. As a Fulbright Scholar, Aspen Institute Fellow, a co-founder of Vital Voices Central American Network, her presence at the Innovation Summit promises to inspire inclusive and sustainable solutions. Welcome, Maria. And Rocío Méndez. Where are you, Rocío? Here you are. A 23-year daughter of a businesswoman, part of a Wakami, and now coordinator of a program, de Aceleración de Niñas. This program works within 13 communities in Guatemala and supports 309 young girls from the ages of 8 to 15, graduated from Universidad Rafael Landívar with a degree on primary education. Welcome, Rocío Méndez. Well, let's join this panel as experts talk about how women empower economic growth and innovation through entrepreneurship, leadership, education, and mentorship.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. You're probably wondering why there's a man being a moderator with all these great women. And I was wondering myself, and I told my wife. And I said, yeah, why do you think they chose me? And they said, probably because women lead all your organizations. And I never thought about that. I said, that's right. But then I said, they don't really lead, they co-lead. They co-lead with me. And I think the insight when I thought about it was, when you have a group of men in a room, you'll get good decisions. But when you have a group of men and a group of women, you get great decisions. And that's the insight that I've had in my 25 years as an entrepreneur. And that's what I tell my friends that are males. It says, you need women in leadership positions. It's good for your business, and it's good for your foundation. And, when I was thinking about the panel and thinking, okay, what person has really had the most impact in my life? It's actually a woman. And in 1976, my mother invited a woman after the earthquake. There was terrible devastation. A lot of people died. It was really, especially in rural areas, a very high death toll. And she invited this lady that she had heard about doing all these great things for the poorest of the poor all over the world. This person was Mother Teresa. In over 30 years, my mother helped them set up their home here in Guatemala, but over 30 years, Mother Teresa was a very important person in my life. I visited many of her homes and worked at many in Haiti, in the United States, in Guatemala, and elsewhere. And I learned two things from Mother Teresa. One of them was, what an incredible leader. 3 nuns in Calcutta managed thousands of nuns in hundreds of homes in over 140 countries. So talking about, learning how to create self-managed teams. I learned that from her. An incredible businesswoman, an incredible example of how to run a business and empower women. And number two, and I think this is the most important because it's what led me to become a social entrepreneur, was I learned from her that to increase your being, you have to give yourself away. If you want to have great peace in your life, you have to serve others. And I think that's why, when I really thought about what's the one person that has had the most impact, it's Mother Teresa. And just to, define the close relationship we had, the first person that found out when my wife and I got engaged was Mother Teresa. I mean, my mother would call Calcutta, and she would answer, like, hello, Mercedes. It was that close of a relationship. And I'm glad we recorded that conversation. And she even invited her to our wedding. Of course, she didn't come. Imagine Mother Teresa, dancing in the middle of the reception. But it was a very close relationship, and I'm very grateful to this woman for the person I've become. So having said that, I want to start with Deanna. Deanna, right here next to me, she's had 35 years of experience in leadership. She's revitalized iconic brands like Hollywood Reporter, Billboard. She's created venture funds like the one at South by Southwest. For the young women in the audience, can you just discuss a little bit of your road, your path as a woman leader? What were the challenges and what's relevant today and what isn't relevant today for the young women in the audience?
Thank you, Philip. First, I have to just comment, I love this room. I was just on the panel before, and there was 90% men, and now I'm looking at a sea of beautiful women, so welcome. I think it's interesting, the panel before was on sports, and it was all men, and today it's about changing the world and pioneering, and it's all women, so you're in the right room. You're absolutely in the right room. My short journey, although time warps for me, started when I, in effect, didn't make a sports team after being very celebrated in a small community in the sports. And I quickly moved in journalism and media because I didn't have to carry a book around at university. I could just go in and speak or write and be done and try to figure out what was next. And that media career has led me here. But what was interesting about the media business at that time, and to some extent there's still some legacy here, is that all the big newspaper publishing companies, all the big television networks, all the big film studios, all the music business, everything in media and entertainment was run by men. And I was very young, and I used that anomaly to be different. I showed up in a room and I was the only woman, so instead of being afraid of that, I was super excited about that because worst thing could happen is they would notice me because I was different. Right, so being different, being the only woman in a room, felt like a good thing growing up. I think being an entrepreneur allowed me to be the founder and CEO of a number of companies. That was interesting and exciting. That got old very fast, though, when you're a solo founder. So my advice there is to bring people along for the journey and build a great team. And then I think the last point in my career that's perhaps of value is really around thinking about transformation as an opportunity versus a threat. So people would say to me numerous times in my life, you're not afraid of change, you're fearless, And I said, well, in fact, change is where the opportunity lies, and that can be change that's perceived as exciting, and that can be change that you're afraid of, but embrace change, because I think that's where my opportunities career-wise have come when things have changed, models have failed, opportunities have shifted, businesses folded. All those things are perceived as negative, but in fact, they were an opportunity to catalyze something going forward. So.
Well, thanks for that insight, Deanna. Alyse, thank you I was just at your talk, and I changed a bit of what I was going to ask you based on your talk. It impacted me quite a bit. You've empowered over 20,000 women in over 100 countries. Walk me through, how did you come to think that empowering women was the best way to help them? You know, because Vital Voices is focused on that. And maybe give me some examples where you've confirmed that was the right strategy for Vital Voices.
Thank you. Well, first off, I'll just say you're used to being in rooms of all men. I'm used to being in rooms of all women. And I'll just give a shout out to a number of men who are here for this discussion. Thank you for being here. You're not only in the right room, you're on the right side of history. So I think, for me, I really got my start on these issues with the mother that I had. She was a total badass, growing up. She started surfing at age 50. We traveled with her around the world. But she would tell us this story that she wanted to be an architect. And her father, every man in her life, not my father, but every other man in her life, her guidance counselor, her teachers, said, you can't be an architect. No one's ever going to hire a woman to build and design a strong structure. But what I knew is that she was an absolute badass, and whatever she wanted to do, she could do. So I grew up thinking, okay, I'm told I could do anything, but is everybody told that? Because clearly my mother wasn't told that, and I don't see that example. And when I went to college, I took every single class with the word woman in the title. I was obsessed. I read everything I could get my hands on, and then I heard about something called the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing, China. It was going to be the largest gathering ever of women in history, 55,000 women leaders. Hillary Clinton was going to go. It was really exciting. I put in all my paperwork. I paid my fee. I didn't get the right kind of visa or entry papers. I just took a tourist visa and sort of snuck in, which, by the way, not so smart in China. But anyway, it all worked out okay. I'm here, Anyway, but really at that gathering, I recognized that there were these women all over the globe doing extraordinary things. And they were doing it in a way where, as I was saying earlier, they were making change, but they didn't see themselves as leaders. Because what they saw as leadership in their countries sometimes was a corrupt model of leadership, or a hierarchical model of leadership, and they didn't want that. And they would talk about, well, I don't want power. I just want to do good. I'm just trying to right a wrong. And when we founded Vital Voices, I think probably the most powerful thing we did initially was just sort of flip the switch for women, allowing them to meet other women like them and say, don't you think she's a leader? Well, you are too, right? And I think, honestly, that I didn't choose to work with and support women leaders, and I wouldn't even use the word empower, because I feel like women don't need to be empowered. I feel like they have their power. It's just showing them that power can be something different, that power can be redefined. We have to redefine it, not just women, but all of us, right? Power can be redefined as something that can be shared. And I think what I began to see is that that would be the place where I could have an impact. And honestly, what we do in so many ways is we stand behind extraordinary women, not in front of, not pulling them up, standing behind. They know everything that needs to happen in their community. They see the problem, they see the solution, they understand the cultural barriers, surrounds. It's really just about getting behind them and supporting them. And honestly, I think we need more of that in the world of development. We need more of that going in, listening, standing behind. And these are lessons I've learned from women around the world. They aren't it's not an idea I came up with, it's what I observed from so many women that we were working with, women like this wonderful woman right here.
Yeah, that's a good segue. Thank you, Alyse. Well, Maria, we've known each other for a number of years, and you're a great example of an amazing leader. What challenges do we have here in Guatemala? I mean, discuss a little bit your path, but what do you see as, okay, I don't see women getting to where they need to be, because they can really, we say aportar in Spanish. They can give so much to our economy, to our society. What's holding us back from allowing them to lead?
Yeah, I think there are several things, and I'll talk from two perspectives. One is from what we've learned with Wakami, and I would say that, we say our formula for change is dreams plus opportunity equals change. So it's really opportunities. And in a country like Guatemala, I think the access to income is key for women to be able to realize their dreams. And so, with Wakami, we work with rural women, mothers like Rocío's mom, that have these big dreams but have zero money. They've had maybe third or fourth grade education, if much. But they say, we want to change the lives of our kids, and we need money for that. So that's when I see, like with Wakami, bringing an opportunity, an economic opportunity, where it might be as simple as, for example, I had here as simple as a nail. How a nail in the hands of a woman with a dream can change her life, because this nail, doesn't matter whether there's no technology, no roads, no education. If she has dreams, she puts this somewhere and weaves a bracelet or a handmade product that can reach the world. And with that, she will have income. And she will then, and you'll hear from Rocío, women with income will then have a vote in the home. And they will be able to say, not you want girls to just go to third grade, which is one of the beliefs in the villages. In Guatemala is, why invest in women if they're gonna get married, have kids, get them through third grade and that's enough. But a woman with income will say, that's the place where they put the end. So for me, economic empowerment, it's key because it solves two of the main problems of Guatemala, 50% malnutrition and lack of school assistance. And a woman with income will be the biggest agent of change. So that's one part that I'm passionate about. That's what we do with Wakami. I want to acknowledge there's a big Wakami team here. It's together. We say collective dreams are unstoppable. But the other, and Rocío will speak to what a mother with income does. But the other I learned from Vital Voices, because like she was saying, I was working in the villages trying to sell things and do things thinking it was, I didn't want to be a businesswoman. I didn't think I was a leader. I just wanted to bring income to mothers who were losing their babies because of poverty. And then I meet Alyse, and I see all these women paying attention and saying, Maria, what you're doing is important. I'm like, really? And you are a leader. Really? And because I was working with communities, and it was like, people were saying, are you an NGO? Are you a business? This was back then before it was defined. And Alyse one day says, I want to introduce you to Maria Pacheco. She's a social businesswoman. And I'm like, social businesswoman. I'm like, oh, I have a title, But just to say, with Alyse, we were so inspired by seeing women that were powerful, like CEOs of Fortune companies, women at the State Department saying, we believe in you. We're going to give hours of our time to empower you. And that gift that I felt from women in the U.S., and it didn't matter whether during the day there were politicians, right or left. At night they would gather and support us as women. So just to finish, I learned that also besides economic empowerment, which is key in this country, Alyse made somebody like me visible. She makes women visible. She gives us a network. And by learning that we don't have to lead like men, it's really a relief, because then we can be authentic.
And maybe women are natural leaders because it's not about them. They're givers by nature. And I just want to back up what Maria says. We have over 750 distributors with the EcoFiltro project. The majority are women, and they make the most money for us. So that's what I always try to tell my male friends, is they are great partners. They are great partners. And many studies confirm what I'm about to say. If you give $1,000 to a woman and $1,000 to a male in rural Guatemala, the male will spend it on, let's just say, things that may not be good for the family. The woman will always invest in the household to improve the household in the life of the kids. And they're very, very responsible. So that's why we've partnered up with them. It makes economic sense. And I think that's the voice me as a male wants to tell all the other business owners in the country.
Just one little thing, and for the men in the room, as a woman, I've had a chance to be in places where there's only men invited by men. So they have the ones that, like Alyse said, have opened the cracks. Somebody like Salvador Bigudia, who's here. So I think that's key. And I also just want to acknowledge we have women from the Vital Voices Guatemala network. That when I fell in love with Vital Voices, I called Linda, who's here, and said, we got to do this in Guatemala. So they're here.
Good. We only have 3 minutes left, and I want to hear Rocío's voice. Rocío is a graduate of Wakami. Rocío's mother is a graduate of Wakami, and she's a great example of the great work you're doing, Maria and Alyse. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in leadership in your community, because I think it's worthwhile all of us hear it.
When I was 8 years old, my life changed for better because I grew up in a house with male chauvinists, in a culture where women are always told no, where resources, especially money, was limited, and we couldn't even talk about what we wanted because our destiny was already written, and that was to take care of a man and a family. That isn't bad, but in my culture was an obligation. And but I always so grateful because thank God and because he put an angel in our path, because it's very important to us to change our life, and we really, I'm sorry, I'm so grateful. And thank you so much. Because she not only taught us how to generate income, but also change our mentality, because my mom always asked for permission to my dad to go to my grandma, to go to the store, to go for everything. And my dad believed if we know how to write and read, it was enough, because in that way we will work. But my mom said no, and said if you go to the jail for making girls work, go ahead. But for me, no. And that was the only reason that I continued studying. I have 2 sisters more, and my dad thought that my mom throw the money. And my mom is a role model for me, because when someone gives an opportunity to us, we can achieve more than we think can do. And now, and how is today? I'm being here. I'm college graduated. I can speak English. I'm trying to. And I'm working at Wakami doing that I love the most, that is the girls' clubs, and I love children education. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Rocío. I can't think of a better way to end on such a positive note. This is a result of a lot of the work that both of you women leaders, Alyse and Maria, are doing. So I also want to add that she's in charge of 230 girls that she's going to turn into great women leader. So congratulations. Thank you very much. I see some flashing lights. I don't know if there is an opportunity for questions. Yes, okay. Please, anyone who would like to ask a question to these wonderful women, raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Right here in the middle, Nidia, another woman leader. My lawyer. See, I'm surrounded by great women.
Hola, hola. Bueno, ahora sí. Primero, congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing experience with all of us. And I said, I'm pretty sure in name of all the women in Children's Day, and for us as mothers too, coming here and leaving our children in their day is difficult. But now I know why I came here. Rocío, I want to ask you how we can help you. How we can help you to get all the children in Guatemala.
Opportunities, always. Education, always. Because if we have education, we have a lot of tools for making more than we can think.
Excellent. We can help. My wife can help there with education. So yeah, we need to talk later with scholarships. Another question. There's a couple of hands. Sophia?
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I have a question. How can we integrate more women into male-dominated fields? For example, in electricity or plumbing, how can we create and attract more women to participate in those areas?
I'm the corporate expert, I guess. I think there are a couple of ways to bring more women into traditional businesses that are led by men. First is, as our favorite panelist said, education. But it doesn't have to be traditional academic, finance, English, what have you. I believe in a thing, entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship, whereby you sort of follow or shadow someone that you admire that is in that profession. And I think those opportunities can be surfaced through visibility as well as sort of mentorship, but I think they also have to come at the community level. So I would encourage communities to come together and find places where women could shadow a profession and learn a trade or a skill. Because that's going to build confidence, that's going to build visibility, that's going to change the economics of it. On the other end of the spectrum, I think investing in women. So I'm an entrepreneur, and in the US, less than 2% of entrepreneurial investments go to women. But what we do with that money is 70% more likely to result in what they call liquidity or sold business. So it's a really so it's about educating and making people aware that you invest in a woman, you're more likely to succeed than their counterparts, or if you can find a woman and a man together to invest in a combination, bringing women into, and then last, they said it yesterday in a transformation panel, don't bother fixing an existing business per se. Socrates said, build your own. You're wasting time over here, build your own. And the Dalai Lama said, learn the rules so you can break them, right? And so I would encourage everybody in this room to be a rule breaker, which is, I don't know who's telling you can't do that, because you can. But it takes the confidence, it takes the will, and it takes community. And I think that's what women are more advantageous, and they prove to be that way. They're more collaborative, and they support each other. And that's just recent. I will tell you that early in my career, there was a perception that there was only room for one at every table. What's happened 2 generations later is that now we are understanding that we can all sit at the same table together with very talented and smart men, as well, and we can build a world. But get educated, bring the community in, follow or encourage girls to shadow or follow professions they like. And of course, I'm going to put in a plug for sports as well. So make sure that they start playing sports early and long.
Thank you. Excellent advice, Deanna. Thank you so much. Round of applause for all our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know there was a heartwarming experience to hear your stories, and I'm pretty sure we need them. We need their examples to inspire other women. So I hope you leave here with all the knowledge you know and your own stories to inspire other women. Thank you very much.